When my girlfriend said I wasn't in her league, I let her find out what her league actually is. Hey Reddit. 37, male here, senior data engineer in Austin. Been with my girlfriend Olivia, 33, for almost 3 years, living together for 2. I need to know if I'm being petty or if this is justified because I'm about to do something pretty drastic. Some background. I make around 190K base plus bonus, so total comp is usually 235K. Olivia's a creative manager at a boutique marketing agency, makes 120K. Good money, don't get me wrong. We live in this really nice apartment in downtown Austin, $3,600 a month, which was honestly more than I wanted to spend, but Olivia fell in love with it. High ceilings, amazing views, the whole package. She called it her dream place. Here's the thing though, the lease is only in my name. When we moved in together, Olivia's credit score was around 590 from some old credit card issues and a car loan that went south. Mine's 810. The landlord wouldn't approve her as a co-tenant, so she's listed as an authorized occupant. We split rent proportionally based on income. I pay $2,700, $75%. She pays $900, $25%. Seemed fair at the time. Fast forward to last Friday. Olivia invited some colleagues over for dinner at our place. I cooked, set everything up nice. During dinner, I was in the kitchen cleaning up and I heard Olivia talking to her coworkers. She was showing them around and she said, "Yeah, I worked really hard to get to this point in my career where I can afford a place like this. You can't just sit around waiting for a boyfriend to provide. It's all about manifesting your goals, you know." As if she was the one paying for everything. I didn't say anything during dinner, stayed polite, played the gracious host, but on the drive back from dropping off one of her colleagues, we only have one car, a Mercedes GLA that's also in my name because. Credit. Olivia was talking about how impressed everyone was. Then she said, kind of casually, "You know, Adam, sometimes I wonder if maybe I should be with someone more in my league, someone who matches my energy and ambition." I looked at her, just looked, then I said, "Then go find him." She laughed it off like I was joking, but I wasn't joking. I drove the rest of the way home in silence. She kept trying to talk, but I just couldn't. Something broke in that moment. Here's what she doesn't know, that apartment she loves so much. The lease is up in 45 days, and I'm not renewing it. This morning, after Olivia left for work, I drove to the leasing office. Talked to the property manager about my options. Turns out, if Olivia wanted to take over the lease or get a new one in her name, she'd need to show income of at least 3x the rent. That's $10,800 a month, and have a credit score above 700. She has neither. I told them I won't be renewing. Then I drove across town and put down a deposit on a 1-bedroom for $1,750 a month. Nice place, good neighborhood, but definitely not the luxury lifestyle Olivia's been portraying to her friends. The Mercedes, that's a $680 monthly payment, been coming out of my account automatically. I just turned off that auto pay. The utilities, also auto pay from my account, turned those off too. Olivia has a supplementary card on my credit card. I used to let her use it for work expenses since her company is slow to reimburse. Just requested the bank to deactivate it. I haven't told her any of this yet. She came home tonight talking about plans to redecorate the living room, asking if we should get new furniture. I just nodded. Part of me feels like this is extreme, but another part of me is remembering all the times she's introduced me as her tech guy boyfriend with this little dismissive laugh, like my job is cute but not impressive. Or how she posts photos of the apartment on Instagram with captions about building the life you deserve, with no mention that she couldn't afford any of it alone. I've got 45 days until the lease ends. I'm not sure when or how to tell her, but I know I'm not backing down. What would you do? Edit. Holy shit, this blew up while I was in a meeting. Reading through comments now. Some of you are asking why I didn't just talk to her. Fair question. I've tried before. Anytime I bring up finances or mention that I'm covering more than my share, she pivots to, "Why are you tracking money in a relationship?" Or, "I thought we were partners." But partnership goes both ways, you know. Update 1. I didn't expect to be back so soon, but you guys were so supportive and some of you asked for updates, so here we are. The Monday after I made that post, about 3 days after the league comment, I sat Olivia down that evening. Kept it simple. Told her I wasn't renewing the lease, that I'd already put a deposit on a new place and that she had 42 days to figure out her living situation. The look on her face. I've never seen someone go through so many emotions in 30 seconds. Confusion, then anger, then this kind of panicked disbelief. What do you mean you're not renewing? This is our apartment. It's my lease, Olivia. You're an authorized occupant. You weren't even qualified to be on it. This is insane. You can't just decide this without discussing it with me. Like you discussed with your coworkers how you worked hard to afford this place, or discussed with me whether I was in your league. She tried the whole, I was just venting. I didn't mean it like that routine. Then she switched tactics. Maybe we could get a different place together, something we both chose. I told her no. She asked about the Mercedes. I told her the payment was coming out of my account, which was something she apparently never bothered to notice or think about. You've been paying for the car this whole time. Olivia, it's a $680 monthly payment. You really thought you were covering that with your $120K salary after rent, shopping, and everything else. Watching her do the math in real time was something else. Her face just fell. The next few days were tense as hell. She'd go from trying to be super sweet, making my favorite dinner, being affectionate, to completely cold, staying late at work, barely speaking to me. I just stayed calm and started packing up my stuff bit by bit. Ordered boxes, started sorting my things. Then about a week ago, I guess reality started really hitting her. She came home and told me she'd been looking at apartments in our area. Everything comparable to where we live now required 3x income verification and a credit check. She started asking if maybe I could co-sign a lease with her. Olivia, why would I co-sign a lease for an apartment I'm not living in? Because we've been together for 3 years, because you can afford to help. I've been helping for 2 years, I'm done. She went to her bedroom and I heard her on the phone, I think with her mom, based on what I could hear. The next day, her mom actually called me. Apparently, Olivia had told her we were having financial disagreements, but hadn't mentioned the whole not in my league thing. I filled her in. Her mom got quiet, then said she'd talk to Olivia. Here's where it gets interesting. Remember how Olivia uses my credit card for work expenses? Well, I'd canceled that card the same day I decided not to renew the lease. She had a client dinner last Tuesday, nothing huge, like $240 for 4 people. Her card got declined. Her team lead was there. Olivia came home that night devastated. Not because of the embarrassment, though she was embarrassed, but because now people at work were asking questions. She'd been fronting like she was this high-powered creative director type, expense account and all. Turns out her company doesn't give corporate cards to managers at her level. They do expense reimbursements, but those take 2 weeks to process. She'd been using my card and I'd just been eating the delay. Never asked her to pay me back because we were partners. She tried to get her own credit card to cover work stuff, denied. Her credit score apparently dropped even more, to around 610, because she'd been carrying a balance on some store cards I didn't even know about. Last weekend, she finally went to look at apartments she could actually afford. Came back crying. Studios in decent areas are $1,400 to $1,600. Anything cheaper is either in sketchy areas or requires a 45-minute commute. She asked me again if I was sure about this. Olivia, you told me I wasn't in your league. I'm just letting you live at the level that matches your league. This is what you wanted. I didn't mean it like that. Then how did you mean it? She didn't have an answer. We've got 23 days left on this lease. She's barely speaking to me now unless she needs something. But I actually feel lighter than I have in months. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. My new place is great, by the way. Checked it out again last week. It's got a small balcony, good natural light, and it's actually closer to my office. Rent's less than half what I'm paying now. I'm planning to save aggressively and maybe buy a place in a year or 2. Edit. A lot of people asking about the Mercedes situation. Update on that. The payment was due last week. Didn't go through, obviously. She got a notification from the dealership. We had another conversation where I explained that if she wanted to keep the car, she needed to refinance it in her name or start making the payments to me directly. She called her bank. They won't refinance her given her credit score and income to debt ratio. Someone suggested I might be liable for breaking the lease early. I checked. There's a clause that allows early termination with 60 days notice for a fee of 2 months' rent. So yes, I'm paying $7,200 to get out. Worth every penny. Update 2. Okay Reddit, we're now at 12 days until the lease ends, and things have escalated in ways I didn't fully anticipate. So after my last update, Olivia went through what I can only describe as the 5 stages of grief, but all at the same time and in random order. One morning she'd be angry, yelling about how I'm abandoning her. The next she'd be trying to seduce me, wearing my favorite outfit, being flirty, suggesting we work through this in bed. Then she'd switch to quiet resentment, just staring at me over breakfast like I'd killed her dog. The Mercedes situation came to a head about 5 days ago. We were 3 weeks behind on the payment. The dealership sent a final notice, either bring the account current or they're repossessing the vehicle. I forwarded the email to Olivia. She absolutely lost it. You're really going to let them take the car? Do you know how humiliating that is? Olivia, it's a car you can't afford. You have 2 options, start making the payments yourself or let it go. I'm not making another payment on it. This is financial abuse. That one actually made me laugh, which probably wasn't the right response. Financial abuse. I've been paying for 75% of your lifestyle for 2 years. I'm not your ATM. I'm your ex-boyfriend who you decided wasn't in your league. She tried calling the dealership to work something out. They told her the same thing the bank told her when she tried to refinance. Not enough income relative to the payment, credit score too low. She had 3 options. Pay the $2,040 that was past due immediately, refinance, which she couldn't, or voluntary repossession. She didn't have $2,040. I watched her check her bank account on her phone. She had maybe $1,900 in savings total. That was a gut punch moment for both of us, I think. She's been living paycheck to paycheck while projecting this image of success. She called her parents. They offered to loan her money for a cheaper used car but refused to help with the Mercedes, said it was too expensive and she needed to learn responsibility. She was furious with them too. In the end, she chose voluntary repossession. They picked it up yesterday morning. She stood in the driveway and watched them load it onto the tow truck, and I swear she looked 10 years older. Her credit score's going to tank even more, but at least it's not going to hit collections. Now here's where things got really messy. Olivia's been telling her coworkers and friends a very edited version of events. According to her story, I'm kicking her out because I'm controlling and financially abusive, and she's the victim of a toxic relationship. She posted something vague on Instagram about discovering someone's true colors and rebuilding after betrayal. What she didn't count on, some of her colleagues actually follow me on social media. And her mom, who I guess felt guilty about my situation, called 2 of Olivia's close friends and told them what actually happened. The truth started spreading pretty quick. Olivia found out people were talking. She came home 3 nights ago absolutely broken. She'd been at happy hour with coworkers and someone made a comment about the apartment situation. She realized her whole carefully crafted image was crumbling. Are you happy now? Everyone knows. Everyone's talking about me. I didn't tell anyone anything except your mom, and only because she called me. You're the one who's been lying to people for 2 years. I wasn't lying, I was just what? Taking credit for things you didn't do. Living a lifestyle you couldn't afford and pretending it was all you. She didn't answer. Just went to her room. The next morning I noticed her Instagram was private and she deleted a bunch of posts, all the apartment photos, the car photos, anything that showed the luxury lifestyle. Her LinkedIn profile has changed 3 times in the past week. First, she updated her title to make it sound more senior than it is, then she changed it back. Now it just says creative professional. We've started dividing belongings. Most of the furniture is staying because I don't need it in my new 1-bedroom. She asked if she could take some of it. I said sure. whatever she can fit in her new place and can afford to move. She's hired one of those 2 guys and a truck services. Her new place, by the way, it's a studio apartment in a complex about 40 minutes from downtown, $700 a month. She told me she's going to take the bus to work. That's about an hour and a half each way with transfers. She also picked up some freelance graphic design work to make ends meet. I actually feel a little bad about that part. The commute's going to be brutal. But then I remember, maybe I should be with someone more in my league. Yesterday she tried one last time. She came out of her room wearing this dress I really like, hair and makeup done, sat next to me on the couch, put her hand on my leg. Adam, we don't have to do this. We can start over, be more honest with each other. I'll do better, I promise. I gently moved her hand. Olivia, you told your coworkers you earned all this yourself. You told me I wasn't good enough. You can't start over from that. People say things they don't mean when they're stressed. Maybe, but they show you who they really are. You showed me, and I'm respecting that. She started crying. Real crying, not manipulation crying. I think it finally hit her that this is really happening. She's going to be living in a $700 studio, taking the bus, doing freelance work on top of her full-time job, all while watching her ex-boyfriend, the one who wasn't in her league, live comfortably and move on with his life. I made a mistake, she said. One mistake. This is too harsh. It wasn't one mistake, Olivia. It was 2 years of taking credit for things you didn't do. 2 years of me being your ATM while you played high-status career woman. One mistake would be apologizing the next day. You didn't even think you did anything wrong until the consequences started hitting. She didn't have an answer for that either. 12 more days. I've already started moving some stuff to my new place. Olivia's been hunting for furniture she can afford, mostly Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace stuff. She asked if I'd help her move. I said I'd think about it. Part of me wants to. Part of me thinks clean break is better. Edit. Someone asked if I've started dating again. Not yet, but I did match with someone on Hinge, a UX designer who actually seems genuine about splitting things fairly. We're getting coffee next week. Her profile mentioned loving Austin's food scene, especially the food truck scene, because authentic is better than expensive. That made me smile. Final update. It's been about 6 weeks since I moved out, and I figured I owed you all a final update since you've been following this saga. Some of you DM'd asking how things turned out, so here we go. First, move out day. I did help Olivia move her stuff to the new studio. Mostly because I'm not a monster, despite what some of her friends probably think. It took 1 truckload. Turned out she didn't have nearly as much as she thought once we separated what was mine versus hers. The studio is exactly what you'd expect for $700 a month. Small but clean. She tried to make conversation during the move, asking about my new place, but I kept things brief and neutral. When we finished, I wished her well and left. I haven't spoken to her since, except for one text exchange about mail that got delivered to my new place with her name on it. I dropped it off in her mailbox, didn't go inside. My new place, it's perfect. 1 bedroom, $1,750 a month, and I've got it set up exactly how I want it. Minimalist, functional, comfortable. My savings account is growing fast. Turns out when you're not subsidizing someone else's lifestyle, you can actually build wealth. I'm on track to have a down payment for a house by this time next year. The coffee date with the UX designer, Sophie, turned into dinner, which turned into a second date, and now we've been seeing each other for about a month. It's refreshingly different. Last week we went to a food truck park, and she insisted on splitting the $24 bill right down the middle. When I mentioned I was looking at houses, she told me about her own savings goals and her plan to buy rental property. We talk about money like adults, which is apparently revolutionary in dating. She asked about my last relationship. I gave her the honest version, all of it. She laughed and said, "So you're the guy who let his ex discover her actual league?" I said, "Yeah, basically." She said, "Good. I prefer guys who have standards." As for Olivia, I've heard through mutual acquaintances, Austin's a small town in some ways, that life has been rough. She's doing the bus commute. Apparently she's missed work twice because of bus delays and her boss isn't thrilled. The freelance design work is helping her make ends meet, but barely. She's making somewhere around $2,000 a month after taxes from freelancing on top of her salary, and it's just covering her expenses with nothing left over for savings. Her social media presence has completely changed. Instagram is still private. LinkedIn no longer has the inflated title. It's accurate now. She unfollowed most of the lifestyle influencer types she used to follow, and the posts I've seen through friends are a lot more humble. Less manifesting your dream life and more finding peace in simplicity. I'm not sure if that's genuine growth or damage control for her reputation, but whatever. The wildest part, I ran into one of her coworkers at a coffee shop last week, Jennifer. She recognized me and came over to say hi. Told me that after the whole credit card incident and the car situation became known, management started looking more closely at Olivia's expense reports and work claims. Turns out she'd been exaggerating her role in some projects. Not quite lying, but definitely taking more credit than she earned. She's been moved to a different team with reduced client-facing responsibilities, which Jennifer said is corporate speak for "we don't trust you to represent us anymore." Jennifer also said that Olivia's been telling people she's exploring minimalist living by choice, which is technically true but missing some context. A few people aren't buying it. I asked Jennifer how Olivia seemed. She said quieter, less showy. Like someone took the air out of her. That made me feel a little sad, honestly. I didn't want to destroy her, I just wanted to stop being taken advantage of. But she made her choices. The thing that struck me most was something Sophie said. Olivia said you weren't in her league, but she was never even in your league in the first place. She was playing dress up with your credit score. That hit different. For 2 years, I let her make me feel lucky to be with her. But she wasn't ambitious. She was image obsessed. There's a difference. Real ambition is Sophie putting 25% of her paycheck into index funds. Real ambition is my coworker grinding LeetCode problems at night to level up to staff engineer. Real ambition is actually doing the work, not just posting about the life. Someone in my original post's comments said, "Best $7,200 you ever spent to break a lease." They were right. That early termination fee was the best money I've ever spent. It bought me clarity, self-respect, and a future where I'm not being used. As for Olivia finding someone in her league, I genuinely hope she does. Maybe someone with a 610 credit score who also likes to post aspirational Instagram content while living paycheck to paycheck. They'd be perfect together. Or maybe, and I kind of hope this is what happens, she'll spend this time figuring out who she actually is versus who she was pretending to be. Maybe she'll rebuild her credit, learn to live within her means, and find actual self-worth instead of borrowed status. That would be good for her, but that's not my problem anymore. I'm sitting in my one-bedroom apartment that I can easily afford, about to go meet Sophie for tacos at a food truck she loves, and I've never been more content. Turns out living authentically at your actual level is way better than fake living at someone else's. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. You guys helped me see that I wasn't being petty, I was being smart. Edit. Some people are asking if I have any regrets. Honestly, just one. I regret not doing this sooner. Should have ended it the first time she introduced me as her tech guy with that dismissive little laugh. Would have saved myself about 30